of Newcastle United, Steve Bruce, is expected to be sacked ahead of the club's first match under its new Saudi-led owners this weekend.
But their takeover of the club has raised other concerns. Other teams are apparently worried the Premier League's brand could be damaged. Human rights advocates have accused Saudi Arabia of sportswashing, which is where they seek to gloss over a country's reputation by investing in sport, as Gillian Kelly explains.
Isn't it? Joining us now, Joel Bayer. He's the founder of the online sports platform Cheeky Sport. He says the takeover is not just a fantastic chance for the club, but for Newcastle as a city generally. He says it's good news. While Channel 4 News chief correspondent Alex Thompson has given up supporting Newcastle FC following the takeover.
Wow.
Start with you, Alex. That's a big decision for a fan to make. But listen, if this is sports washing, and it does seem on the surface that it is, but if it is sports washing, then they're kind of washing their hands in the toilet, aren't they? Because since this was announced, all we've had is relentless negative publicity about the regime that runs Saudi Arabia. We've heard about their human rights abuses. We've heard about their treatment of women, their persecution of women. We've had a resurrection of the allegations, very, very well founded and well based, about Jamal Khashoggi, who was, of course, murdered and dismembered in a Saudi embassy about a year or so ago. So actually, it's backfired spectacularly on them, hasn't it?
We can only hope so, but it's not just my anger, and it is anger, is reserved primarily not for the Saudis. The Saudi regime is rightly known across the world for a number of things, basically oil, the oppression of women on an industrial scale, torture, and the horrendous murder and dismemberment of a man who is my colleague and your colleague, Richard, a fellow journalist. And there's a tape of it. It's all there. Now, that's, of course, they want to burnish their reputation, but the criticism should be for the Premier League. It's quite clear the Premier League's rules on a fit and proper owner for our football club were designed back in the days when they were worried about a dodgy businessman in the Wirral taking over Everton or something. Yeah. Life has moved way, way beyond. Obviously, we've had what's happened to Chelsea. We've had what has happened to Manchester City, buying success. Does the Premier League really, really, really want to be in a world where the clubs are the playthings of the world's despots and dictators with their blood-stained hands? I think we want better than that. We want, of course, what Joel will say is right. It's great for the club. It's great for the town. It's millions. But do you want to live in a world where it's money, money, money? Oh, and by the way, money, and that's it?
Well, let's put that to Joel. The fans, some of them may have concerns, but what they'll mostly see, Joel, is a huge injection of cash and the possible outcome similar to what's happened to Manchester City. Since in the 13 years under Sheikh Mansour, Man City have won 5 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups and 6 EFL Cups. So Newcastle want a slice of that, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, just to start off with, if it is proven as to what Alex Thompson is saying, properly proven that this is what they are about, then he's totally right, because we don't stand for that. I don't think anyone in this country stands for that. But I think it's very unfair to be pinning that on people when you don't have, you know, cold facts and evidence, and they haven't been convicted.
You have to be joking. Whoa! You have to be. Hang on. You have to be joking. Are you seriously? What? Are you seriously suggesting that the list of allegations which has just been made against Saudi Arabia may not be true at all? That in fact it is a wise and benevolent state that actually respects women? Are you seriously suggesting that?
No, Richard, what I'm saying is if it is 100% proven that it's not from what they're saying, then of course we do not stand for that. When you look at it from a Newcastle's point of view, before you interrupted me, it's brilliant for the football team, of course, as you know. Like you said, you mentioned Chelsea, etc., the league titles, Man City, the takeover. St. James is a beautiful stadium, right? And with this takeover, you can push things the positive way in regards to the city itself. You've seen what the fans feel. You've seen what Man City has done for the area, what it's done for the community hubs, the 6,000 homes. You've seen even the Man City women's football team has benefited from this. Like I'm saying, we do not stand for anything that is negative. When you're looking at it from a football perspective, on the pitch for the city of Newcastle and off the pitch, that's where it's a good thing.
I apologise for interrupting you. I was just taken aback by your opening statement. So I just want to get this clear. I apologise for that. You're saying that if Saudi Arabia is innocent of the charges, then this deal is a good one. But you're saying that if it could be proven what Alex just said was right, then you would bail on the deal. You would say that actually it couldn't go ahead.
Of course, because the Premier League, nobody should be standing for anything like that anyway. Now, if you look at, for example, the Premier League, I believe they have a massive responsibility to look at things thoroughly through, just like they did with Man City, Sheikh Mansour, and obviously at Chelsea with Roman Abramovich, and Aston Villa as well, who have also had takeovers. Now, if, for example, they're not doing their job, then fair enough. There should be no backing of this whatsoever. However, if it's something where you can see that migrant workers are not affected, religious discrimination isn't key or happening, especially in the city of Newcastle, then I can understand why they have considered the takeover.
Alex, what do you say to that essential point that provided the allegations against Saudi Arabia can be proven, then the deal should be called off? What do you say?
This has been the deal has come from the PIF, the Sovereign Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia. Well, guess who is the chairman of that? It's Mohammed bin Salman, MBS. He is the boss. Now he is wanted. Look, how can I put it? This is something that unites the House of Representatives. Democrats and Republicans are united in the US. There's only one thing on the planet they agree about, but they agree this man was implicated in that. The CIA say he's implicated in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Amnesty International do. The Turks do. I mean, there's a tape of him being killed. You know, you can look at the transcript as they gradually throttle him and then carve up his body. You know, when he went into they said, has the sacrificial animal arrived for the slaughter? That's what they said when he went in. This is, those authorities say, wholly organised by the man who is the chairman behind the takeover.
Let me play devil's advocate, though, because we do business with the Saudis. The UK government sells weapons to the Saudis. It's a massive business partner. So why, you might ask, why should football be held to a different standard to the rest of business within the UK, just because football always is in the headlines?
Well, that's a good reason, just because football's in the headlines, which is precisely why the Saudis want to whitewash their reputation, isn't it? The simple argument to that is two wrongs don't make a right. You can pile up the wrongs as long as you go, and there are, many would argue, a lot of wrongs with the weapons that we are selling to Saudi, which are, in many cases, it is alleged, and there's a good deal of evidence, being used to slaughter civilians right now in Yemen. One of the biggest, longest established Yemeni communities is in South Shields in Tyneside. Go and ask them this morning what they think of the Saudi takeover at St James's Park. Go and ask them.
But you must have sympathy for the die-hard fans of Newcastle United. We all know.
I am a die-hard fan, Richard. I was eight when we last won something.
Who do you support now, Alex? Because I mean, you can't just switch allegiance, can you?
Whitby Town,
okay.
Currently riding high in the Northern Premier League since you asked. Listen, I'll be back supporting the tune. Of course I will, you know. Unlike MBS, I could sing all the verses of the Bladen Races and will happily do so if you want.
Joel,
you know, that I'll be back once those people are kicked out, as they should be, by a fit and proper test at the Premier League. Yeah,
well, the Premier League, of course, Joel, say that they, that this particular fund has passed the fit and proper test. I wonder whether, Joel, you think that football has to somehow be seen to be holding up a different standard to the rest of the UK. You know, we've got the issue, haven't we, with the World Cup being held in Qatar. United Nations says that Qatar, you know, is guilty of racial discrimination. Human Rights Watch report says that women, you know, don't have freedom in Qatar. Homosexuality is officially illegal. Should football actually be saying, you know what, we're not going to have business with these countries, or is that unfair?
No, if it's wrong, I think that football should take responsibility. I mean, don't forget, you listed what you said there, and there was also, when the World Cup was hosted in South Africa, there was, you know, loads of different claims, etc. And that we don't want to hear negative stuff. We don't want to hear people being hurt, abused, in any sort of way. So if it is a thing where football are turning a blind eye, then hey, I completely hear and understand what Alex is saying. I think the same could be questioned. I know I'm segueing a bit, but whereas we were still playing football, where the sport where other sports were not, being played during the COVID period. So I think it's definitely something that we have to look at to make sure that we're not giving ourselves a little bit of an extra prop. Like I say to Alex, yes, they taken over, but they could have definitely chosen another industry if they wanted to look better. They could have chose banking, because with football, we're not fickle. You know, we will turn around and we will question things. You've seen what's happened with the Super League. If there's something that's not right, the fans will speak about it.
All right. Well, as Alex said at the beginning, the standards by which these things are judged may need to be updated, because here's the statement we've had from the Premier League. They say, and I quote, "Following the completion of the Premier League owners and directors test, the club has been sold to the consortium with immediate effect. It's received legally binding assurances that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will not control Newcastle United Football Club," which is completely beside the point, isn't it? That's not what the debate's about. It's not about the control of the club. It's about the nature of the despotic regime which has just bought it. That's what we're talking about. But this one will roll on. And my sympathies to Newcastle United fans. You must feel as if you've been handed a poison chalice. You know, do you drink from it or do you not? Very, very hard decision to make.